And there's a scene where I have a weapon that looks like a large male appendage, and
Finger?
yes, yeah. Like it's like I have to fight off this demon with this thing, and we were getting the rundown of the like stuff I had. So it's like it's like a dance, it's like a kind of stunt fight where it's like this, that. But we were doing like a shot from the side with us like looking at each other, which is the hardest one to pull off because you have to kind of go past their head and then down and cut. And I messed up the timing because the director had me like run towards them, which we didn't plan that. So I ran toward the person and then just like whacked them across the face with this large male appendage prop. And it's like usually you want like someone to start like laughing and make it feel okay immediately. It's like it's all right, but it got so quiet. And then I said, I'm sorry, and which was very reminiscent of many experiences I've had in the bedroom. And it was probably like one of the like gnarliest things. And then like the next thing we had to do was that person slamming my head against the table. And they were like, just like don't try to like get his head too close to the table. And then she slammed my head on the table and we broke it. That's why I thought of it. The story.
Yeah. We call that teabagging in Call of Duty.
It's called a wild peace slap.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So this is for Phil Moore, but do you have like any plans for like Nick Arcade remake?
Oh man.
Nick Arcade remake.
That is the most loaded question that I get asked. Number one, because I think it should happen, because that technology had to be invented in order to do the show back then. Now we do it in our living room with Oculus. It's kind of thing. We have meetings in the metaverse. Here's the thing. Here's the tricky part. The answer, the big answer is yes. The guy that created Nick Arcade have been talking and are still talking with the powers that be at Nickelodeon and Viacom because they still own the rights. So when everybody goes go to another show, then we get sued.
I'm not sure if you know about conglomerates and corporations, but they're not too laid back.
Just because you like it, you can't just like, I like your car, let me drive it. No. So right now, the big deal is trying to get them to either decide they want to do another show, which the big point we keep making is all the other big 5 game shows in the 90s have all been remade. They remade the Legends of the Hidden Temple. They did it as a grown-up show on the WB and did a movie. They remade Double Dare with Isa Koshy and Mark Summers. They remade back in like 2011, My Family's Got Guts, and my pal Jeff Sutton did a remake of Figure It Out. Where's Nick Arcade's mom? Yes! We're looking for her. So we've got to get the people who own the rights to say, we give you our blessings, go forth blessed, and make wonderful stuff. So that's what we're doing. We've got a team, we've got a plan, we've got the technology, we can rebuild them. What we got to do is get the owners to say, here's the keys. So, fingers crossed, we're working on it.
You need the same costume designer because your shirts are amazing on that suit.
It's kind of like not in vogue to say the other name, but I like to refer to the shows as pre-Huxtable before Huxtable. Yes, and it's funny, we actually talked about it. We actually had a real serious talk about, can we put them in some crazy, 2023 things, but what's crazy and colorful for this time now. It's funny, this is like, the only reason I wore this shirt is I thought it was going to be cold here, to have all of these long sleeve shirts, and this was like the only other short sleeve shirt I had, because I still have, I wore a red shirt yesterday, the other shirt I have is like a bright gold, it looks like Captain Kirk's uniform. But yes, you got to keep that wardrobe in, because I like dressing like a kaleidoscope grew up like.
We were going for like the leaves on he's palm tree.
Yeah,
so this is what we're going for.
Yeah, they chopped the top of it off, just a dead, rotting husk.
Well, we are working after.
Let me maybe follow up on that one first question back there. Is the opening that most networks now have streaming services associated with them, and I believe Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus?
That's correct.
Is that opening up space for new shows or to bring back older shows, remake older shows, now that you're not constrained by, you've only got 24 hours in a day and so many hours make a show, you can kind of put it wherever you want.
Oh man, that's the angle that we're hitting, for real. Because we don't think Nickelodeon wants to, we know Nickelodeon really doesn't want to do another kid show. And quite frankly, I don't want to really do a kid show version of it. I want to take the path that Legends of Temple did and do it for grown-ups, so that people that grew up watching the show finally get a chance to play the show. So, but still, even to do it on Paramount Plus, you still got to go to the people that own the thing and get them to either a sign off on it and to give you rights. And again, James Matthias, the guy that he and a guy named Corinne Mentoff created the original Nickelodeon Arcade, and we are actively talking to these people. Go, come on, man.
But
do it, man.
a little too obvious.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's
Can't
like
call Paramount Plus Arcade.
exactly right. We get Phil's Arcade.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's this Nick guy?
Yeah.
We have toyed around with the idea of altering it a bit, and there've been a couple of titles that were thrown out there. But you know, the big thing is to try to capitalize, not just put out another show that's a video game show. It's to capitalize on the nostalgia that people love about the original. And somehow, I love the fact that they brought in Liza Koshy, who's like a new influencer, but they still have Mark Summers on a new Double Dare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was really dope about it. So if we did that with grown-ups and found a way to do something in the metaverse, figure out a way we figured out a way to do it, just have to say yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and if we don't, then we will pursue other avenues of how can we make it, you know, really different than,
Yeah.
you know, Phil's consoles, we'll call it, as opposed to Nick Arcade.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So here's another question that kind of comes up in my head anyway, is that all of you are involved in shows that are either modern remakes or modern takes. They're, you know, maybe meant for today's audience, but to connect with an audience from before. And so I'm thinking Hawaii 5-0. You know, it was definitely a remake of a.
Phil and I call it Pineapple Night.
That's right, Pineapple Night. That's Pineapple Night.
Pineapple Night.
Which you have a Pineapple Night shirt going on, if you haven't seen
SpongeBob
it.
goes dark.
Well, and again, we've talked about this before with Star Wars Resistance, where it's bringing it to a new generation, but it's my generation that grew up with Star Wars that wants to show it to our kids, and it was the first Star Wars show that my kid got into. And then Mr. Science did it again, bringing that to the modern era, and trying to bring back the shows that, you know, again, my generation grew up with on Nickelodeon. So can you talk about maybe the angles and the marketability and maybe a little bit of the responsibility of doing that?
All of the guys who are actively doing it, I'm still knocking at that door.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, there was as a fan of Mr. Science Theater growing up, I was obsessed with it. You know, it's like, I remember like I started doing like showbiz stuff in 2002, and like it was like 2003, I had my first like meeting with a manager or some kind of rep, and like, you know, they do the thing where it was like, what would your show be? Because I was doing stand, so they asked me, what would your show be? What would be the thing that you would do? It's like Jonah's show, and I was like, well, I think we should bring back Mystery Science Theater 3000, and I'll be the host of it. And then they laughed at me. And because it just had been canceled, like, you know, 2 years or 3 years before that, so I understood it, but like it was definitely a thing that was like, as a show that I was obsessed with, and when I was about to like start working on it, which was still wild, still kind of like, you know, weird to think about that it actually happened. I was talking to somebody last night where I said, I got into a car accident in like 2002, and everything in my life after that I think is just a dream. Because it's just like, it doesn't make sense that I got to do the thing that I always wanted to do. But like, every time, like, you know, there would be a new aspect that was brought up by Joel, the guy who created it, I would have to think, I had like the fans in my head because I was one. So I had to kind of go like, you know, there was like, Joel's like, oh, we're gonna have like a house band. I'd be like, I don't know, Joel. Like, I just became the internet. So like a lot of people will come up to me and they always like, it's weird to have people come up to you and go, I wanted to hate you so much. I wanted you to fail. I was so worried you were going to ruin my favorite show, which is a weird paradox because then I would be ruining my favorite show. But so like it's like, but you pulled it off. You know, I appreciate that because I was worried. I was like, because I was every time I was like, they're like, I'm not sure you're gonna be good. I was like, I don't know either. It's scary. Imagine being the person. It's like, you know, that like drops the ball on like ruining your favorite show, and And so it's like, it's a lot of pressure, but you have to just kind of realize that like, it's like, I wasn't like a spring chicken in the industry by the time I got to it. I had written on shows, I had acted on shows, I'd done all this stuff, I had produced, so it's like, I was ready to go. And so you just kind of have to rely on like, I guess like, you know, the job you have and like the skills you retain from like just, you know, being in entertainment.
He's so smart. This guy's awesome. For me, I have zero control over any Star Wars IPs and intellectual properties. So Star Wars Resistance, I would love for it to come back. I would love to, you know, I love the character. I think it's amazing. Star Wars Visions, we did Star Wars Celebration, and they did announce that there will be a sequel, Star Wars Visions 2. Season 2, excuse me. Nice. That doesn't mean I'm going to be a part of it. Even though I'm on the panel, I could have been, I could still be dropped, who knows, you know. But I would love to be part of that. Season 2, that'd be awesome. Nightwing, Gotham Knights. I would love it if there was more for that. Again, I have no control over DC, Star Wars, but
how's it feel coming into, like, as an actor, where it's like, you know, you kind of don't have control over it, and so, but like, it's like, you're kind of going to be, you're the face of some of the stuff, or the voice, it's like, you have to kind of be up front, because it's not going to be really any of the writers, or some of the, like, you know, the back executives, it's like, you have to kind of speak for the project, like you kind of are now, which is like a big responsibility, but also it's weird, because like you said, like, you don't have a lot of, you know, power in that now.
you know, in the end, like what I found is going right back to what you're saying. I don't have the power, but I have the influence. And if I can influence the fans to be like, write in, let them know you're willing to buy it, because that's the power is in the fans. So as long as you guys are like, yeah, we want it, then we can get kids, Phil's Arcade show going.
Yeah.
You know, as long as we have that fan base that's going to watch it, then they will create it. You know.
And that goes back to what you said. You mentioned something about, you know, and you talked about doing something differently, but you came in there as a fan, and so you wanted to stay true to that because you were a fan. You got people like Filoni and Favreau who are fans running the thing, which is why when we started talking about bringing back a new version of Arcade using today's technology, the first 2 people I called were the guys that created it. You're not going to get any bigger fans than the mother and father of the show and their prodigal son. So we want to stay true to it. We just want to make a version that utilizes this cool technology that exists now that allows us to do more things, but we're not trying to betray the fans.
Yeah, no one wants to make a bad thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, so you really ruined something, or you're like, it's like, you didn't even try. It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, it's not enough pay, and it's too much time and energy to try, to not try. Yeah, and so it's like the people you see doing these things, you know, it's like, you know, Favreau, like, you know, as much as I want him to make Chef Part 2, I mean, like, I'm glad he's there as a fan and, you know, making Star Wars shows. It's like, because you want someone there that's an advocate for it. You know?
I can name some Star Wars things that people weren't a fan of when they were making it. So it's good to have that respect for the fandom and realize that they're the ones that'll keep it going and make it a success. Yes.
Oh, what would we want to be recognized? When we're recognized? I don't know. I don't think I.
Well, I keep getting recognized for reading Rainbow, but I didn't do that show.
I'll tell you, yeah.
Why'd you stop doing Star Trek? I'm not that guy. But it literally, I'm here because of those Nick Arcade. I did 10 years on Nickelodeon. I hosted 2 different shows. We did a bunch of tours. Like I said, I did 27 episodes and figured out. I did a pilot of all that. But the thing that I'm known for is the thing that I'm most happy about, because it's still going strong. The video game industry is still going strong. Everybody has positive, you know, feelings about it. And despite my hyperactivity, nobody really thinks that it's wrong, which is great. I owe that to, in a weird sort of way, Howie Mandel and Steve Martin. And I went, hey, they're hyperactive too. So I'm happy that no matter what it is that I do, no matter what other accolades I get, you know, for a while, this past summer, I was working all summer long with Mr. Beast creating amazing content. But as huge as he is, and as awesome as his channel is, and if everybody stops and goes, you're the guy from Big Arcade, bucket list done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's not, it's the thing, it's like, you know, you do so many different jobs when you're doing this stuff, and it's always nice when someone finds, you know, like, there's like a deep cut every once in a while where someone will be like, so I like your show Hidden America. I was like, oh, it's great, not a lot of people saw it, because it was on like a streaming network that went away. And so, you know, there was like those moments were nice. It's like, you know, I'd say the one thing I don't like when people, well, like, they're like, it's like, I remember when you were the spokesperson for Bing.com. And I go, yeah, that was, and they're like, you must have made a lot of money on those. I was like, I didn't. But they were on all the time. I'm not sure my managers were really looking out for me. And now that Bing is involved with the whole chat GPT, I think I might end up being the face of the AI apocalypse, which is no good. Yeah, we're all Bing, man.
You're on New Max Headroom.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like a thing where people say, "Are you a Bing guy?" I was like, "Yeah, that was a long time ago, man."
For me, it's kind of cheesy, but I like to be known as the guy that's approachable, even though I'm on television. Like, and like to make connections with people. You know, some people go like, "Hey, dude, you're actually a nice guy." I'm like, thank you. Like, that's what I'm striving for. You know, I don't like the idea that the lights guy always is last, right? I like to believe I'm going to still get first, and I'm going to stay nice.
Yeah, that's true. We're all
Everybody take out your cameras.
Here's my number, my home address. We're best friends now. But it's like it's gotta be funny because it's like you were on a soap, you know, and you were like, but you're also like in some kind of like nerd culture stuff where it's always very fun. Like my friend Baron Vaughn, who does the voice of Tom Stewart on my Mr. San Steve episodes, he's like one of the funniest dudes in the world. But it's like we'll be hanging out, and it's like you can always tell when someone's recognizing him because of stuff he's done. Like he had a show on Comedy Central, great show with this rapper producer called Open Mike Eagle called The New Heroes, very great comedy show, and like so he like knows when the guy's coming up from this fan of that. Yeah, it's like I'm the old one. Yeah, exactly. And like he's like, I know what this guy's coming up for. But if it's like kind of like an older lady, he'll be like, a lady will go like, how do I? And he'll just cut her off and go, Grayson Frankie. I'm like, that's right. That old white lady show. That's what you're from.
You know, strange that I had a dude walk up who was like 17. And I'm thinking like Gotham Knights, and he's like, Days of Our Lives? I'm like, wait, he threw me. He's like, my grandma and I. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
It is kind of fun when they realize you're obscure.
Yeah.
You're right. It's weird because they reran all the Nickelodeon shows on the cast. So it used to be if you were a certain age, then I knew exactly what you were approaching me for. But now, like, somebody who's in college now will come up to me, and I'm like, why do you know me? And he's like, you used to watch on cast. Well, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah, I'd say the one thing is just don't tell me how old you were when you started watching me. I used to watch you in middle school. I'd be like, what? You're an adult now. This is terrible.
I get these people who are like, you know, I met them when they were 12 years old. I used to like, you know, get down on the knee and shake your hand and take a picture. And now they're like, you know, 6'4" and 300 pounds, and they're picking me up, swinging me around like, glad you like the show. Yes.
More for Bill. So I know everyone kind of wants remakes to come back, but when's the district has to live shows?
Oh yeah, we did Mr. Science Theater Live, was a lot of fun. I did 2 tours, and then the tour cast did 2 tours, and now they're part of the show as well, in the Gizmoplex. I mean, I'd love to keep on doing it. It's, you know, it's all like Joel just kind of has to have the whole thing. It's like, I mean, I'd like if the tours were a little shorter. You know, touring is really hard, and it's I'm 6'4", 5" around there, and so I don't fit into the bunk on a bus too well, and it just I feel like I'm just getting into a coffin every night. And but doing live shows is great because I did stand up for so long, and so like being able to go out and just like, you know, be out in the audience and hear the audiences laugh, because we're writing the show in a vacuum, you know, just like people might get this reference, people might like that joke, but doing live shows, you know right away if they don't like it, you know, or do like it. And so I'd love to do more. Joel's trying to figure out a way, more pared down way, because it's like, you know, it was a big show with all the projector and the props and stuff like that. It was like the bus and truck tour, so it'd be great to do more. Yeah, I like doing live stuff for sure.
Well, that's what makes the fact that, you know, we can put sort of COVID behind us now, we're all back to out to events like this. Yeah, because we were just getting started. I know I was just kind of getting started making appearances, and then you know, COVID happened and then it stopped.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can go back out and meet the folk and do some fun success. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, this guy last night caught me in the hallway at 12:30 a.m. He's like, "We're gonna bring cheese curds tomorrow." And then I thought that was Wisconsin code for going to have sex, but I don't know your culture. I'm Hawaii. I live in Los Angeles. All right.
That's great. I got you cheese curds. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
That's
Funny, that was
crazy.
my script name in college.
Yeah, I just rolled out.
He starts talking about flowers.
Show me a robe. Hey, cheese curds.
People paying money.
That, but like knowing that like this.
Yeah.
But having to go through licensing.
So when we did the first Kickstarter, like, Joel announced it and people went bonkers and like it was at the time like, like making more money faster than any other Kickstarter in history. But he hadn't announced to me as the host yet, so I was very scared. And it was like maybe about like 3 or 4 days into the campaign that like he announced that I would be the host, and I was like, in my head, yeah, seems sure. Like I was expecting, I was like, watch it just drop down. And everyone going like, no, I thought it was going to be Seth Rogen or something like that, or Jason Segel. It's kind of like it's really nice because it's just like when we did the second one, we actually made more money than the first one, and that was like really like heartwarming. And then like it's like it was because like now I'm like quantifiable. It's like they saw what I did and they wanted more, and that really meant a lot. And like and so I figured I'd start trying. It's a good amount of pressure because it's just like you want to do right by the people that paid for the thing, and we wouldn't have gotten to do it if it wasn't for them. It's really grateful, and it gets a bit tiring because of the there's all the reward stuff, and so that ends up kind of taken away from production. I'd say that's the one downside to Kickstarter is that it's like the rewards, because that takes a lot of time, money, and energy from the the amount made. But it's still it's a direct connection to the fans and the people, and it's like now instead of finding some funding person or some duke that will give you some money for the arts, it's like you just go to the people and you guys say, do people want this? And if people say yes, you make it, and it's just it feels a lot more democratized. It's like that's the thing that the internet and everything that's done so well is it's helped democratize entertainment. It's just like people have a voice, like you were saying, if people speak up and and then you can't deny the numbers, because before that it was all speculative. It was all Nielsen ratings. It was all just I don't know. Does this?
I sit in the conference room going, what do you think? I like it.
Exactly.
But now you know exactly if they don't like it. They spoke and it out.
Exactly, and it's before that too. It's it's like the people who the shows that go big are the people who got famous. It's like maybe they were good or maybe they were liked, but maybe they had the money to pay a publicist to just get them in front of people all the time. And it's like nowadays you don't have to worry about that. People can be their own publicists, and people can just get out there and just hopefully people like it. Yeah.
And if you like Jonah, talk to him in money, just throw money at him.
Just throw money.
I know you like him.
Yeah.
You like me.
Each
Just throw
syllable
money at
you
him.
say to me is $5. So just keep that in mind.
I want this guy right here, because he raised his hand.
So it's just so for the games that were unique to the campaign, you said yes, so that they step forward.
Well, I found a lot of things out. Good questions. I found out a lot of stuff about the show that I hosted for 2 years and ran for 150. After everything was done, because Nick Arcade was like my first gig in television. Stand-up comic, I was an audience warm-up, and went out for 2 auditions, and then I did this, that. So I found out that there was a team of people, and they would bring them in and test them on a lot of different games. In a weird sort of way, it kind of was like upstairs, It really did. There was a bunch of consoles and a bunch of games, and it would bring the kids who they, thought would be great on it. It was about personality, and it was about energy, and it was about their ability to play the games. And so they would sit down and just come into a room. So I actually talked to, not naming, I've been doing this for real, but Joey Fatone was on an episode of Nickelodeon Arcade. And so, so now we chat. And I asked him, I said, what was that experience like auditioning for the show? And he goes, I get a day off from school. They bring me out to Universal. I walk around and I see the set of Double Dare, I see the set of Guts, and then they go, and by the way, you want to play games for 2 hours? He's like, hell yeah! And that's what it was like. It was like they were bringing a bunch of kids. Now the audition process, they had, regular casting, which you don't know what it is. Somebody's job is to take a look at people and see, if they would be great for whatever the show is. But it was just come in and play games. And you would have a lot of different games. So you never knew what game would be on the show if you got chosen to be on. You just wanted to see if you were good at playing the games. Now, to address the next question that you're thinking was, how come they weren't good on the show? So now you're thinking. It's because of just being nervous. I give them all a lot of credit because it's not an easy thing. You're 14 years old. Earlier that day you were playing, soccer with your friends, and the next thing you know, you're in for an audition, and there's somebody there, there's cameras on you, there's people you don't know. Sometimes they mic you up so you can hear audio. You got a strange person puts a mic cord down your shirt, sitting you in front of a console, 15 people are staring at you, and they're saying, act natural. There's nothing natural about that. So that's why when they got on the show, they would freeze up a little bit. But that was the process. They would let them practice on a variety of different games. And then when they got on the show, whatever was chosen by the powers that be, that was there. That was there for the video challenge.
Nate Blair, PUBG. You guys mentioned before about democratizing. How do you think AI is going to sort of impact the democratization of entertainment just in general?
Sorry,
Yeah.
You want that?
Sorry, Cat.
You're all gonna die. I don't know. It's tough. I've played with the ChatGPT where it's like, I was writing something and they're like, hey, can you give us a cover sheet for this? I was like, I don't want to write about what I just wrote. And so I just put the concept of it into ChatGPT and said, write me a cover letter for this script, and it did. And it wasn't perfect or great. I just wanted to see what it would be like, and there's still like an artist about it. I think it's like, AI for me in entertainment will essentially just be like, GarageBand just showing up on, MacBooks. It's like where it's like, there's some people that found an easier way to make music now, or make beats, or make songs. It's like, it's like you watch that's what Bob was saying about watching that Billie Eilish thing on Disney. It's like like Phineas is showing us. I was like, they're making these albums, these multi-platinum albums on GarageBand. That comes for free. That is free on every Mac computer you get. And so all this is doing is just giving people just the tools. The tools don't make the art. The artist still makes the art. So I think for me, AI is just going to be another tool that might help someone just go over that little hump. That they're like, it's like, I have an idea for something. I want to see it written out, and they'll see it. Something like, especially if you have like ADHD, or you have problems getting motivated, or procrastination, having that little bit of a little bump, just it's like, oh, I can see it now. Now I can visualize it and I can move forward. So that's my take on that. That I just thought of now. I guess sometimes you need to talk it out loud and realize what you think about something. Is that weird?
I agree with you. It's like the next step, like YouTube was. We know a lot of celebrities that got famous. They didn't have an agent, they didn't have a manager, they didn't have a publicist. But YouTube became that tool to get their face out there, and all of a sudden we know a variety of different artists who were just recorded on a corner, singing their songs or doing whatever. AI is going to be the very next step. People who don't have the managers, the agent, the publicist, the money, will be able to use that as a tool to get them out there, get the exposure that they need.
I'm going to kind of open up that question a little bit from AI to AR. And as far as we've seen TV shows and I think movies that are coming out where they utilize augmented reality technology. I know Star Wars is using this, Star Trek is using it. I don't know, have you been using it at all?
Okay. I wish I did. Sorry. They're way cooler than me.
I mean, is that? I mean, it's kind of like another tool in the box, but is that something that is going to affect the future?
I feel it's just like gonna be another genre or another added thing, like 3D or anything like that, or VR. I think it's going to, I mean, it could help people, like AR could help people like trying to shoot something, like, it's like, it's the availability of having something look more sci-fi with, like, on their phone, something they're shooting. It's like, it's all like, again, it's like, it all just kind of really comes down to the person. Like, it's like, no one, like, no computer's ever like really spit out something that's like, there's a soul-to-soul connection. Actually, soul-to-soul, also playing in Milwaukee soon, I saw on the thing. Anyway. But like, it's like, there's still there's the human touch, the human connection that can't be replicated. It could, there's the uncanny valley where it's just like, it seems like something that somebody wrote, but like, there's gonna be that disconnect. And so I think that AR is just like, again, it's just another tool to like help people get towards telling a story or just trying to say what their truth is so someone can maybe connect with it.
We have time for one more.
One more. That's it. Wow. Man, tell me that.
We're really figuring it all out.
You guys are fun, because like normally, like sometimes you can be these things are like, how much longer? Well, when it goes fast, it's like, it's good.
Oh, you had a good time talking about yourself?
Anyway, more about me. What's your question?
I have a question for Jonah. As far as writing jokes for your show, everyone always been to timelessness as opposed to, like, is there a quote of current pop culture references versus classical references? Or kind of,
Yeah, so like what, like if a reference is going to be like timely or if it's going to or dated immediately. I mean, anything is anything like that was. Steve Martin said comedy is just a distortion of what's happening at that moment, and so it's like you're only going to use what you have available to you, which is the past and what's going on right now. And if you have the right commentary, the right angle on it, it'll be. At the time, it's a new reference and it's a new kind of like, tape or a meme or something like that. But like, in 5 years, 10 years, it's going to be like nostalgic or something. They're gonna laugh at the joke, hopefully still, but they'll also go, oh, I remember that. Which is, those are reference jokes. So like, it's something that becomes like a topical joke, becomes a reference joke, becomes like, a throwback joke and a nostalgia joke. It's like, and that's kind of the thing about those. It's like, I remember I was bragging on Twitter, and the guy got really angry at me because it's like,
You're gonna buy yourself again?
Yes, I'm selling myself again. But I talked about how like I did a joke, a Smash Mouth reference, because there was some kid in a scene in this movie, Munchie, was like being asked like in class, it's like, do you know the sum? Like she had a problem on the blackboard, and then like the kid goes, sum? And then we just start going, buddy once told me the word. And like I was like, it's so dumb, it's so funny, it's like it was just like a little like win for me, but like I tweeted, I was like, I finally got a dumb Smash Mouth reference into MST, and some guy says like, this is what I hate about the new MST, these new references. I was like, dude, new? Shrek was 20 years ago. And like to him, I was like, what do you want, more references to like 1970s television stars? Like it's like, that's the thing. It's like saying that now is like it's still like it's 20 years old. It's still an old reference, but you never know. And it's like that's the thing with the jokes on that show. There's like there's thousands of them. So if you don't like the reference to Suspiria, you'll like a reference to the remake of Suspiria.
The one that always gets me, it's not, I don't think it's old, but all of a sudden every time I watch this movie again, I feel old. In the first Iron Man movie, Tony Stark goes, "Don't put this on your MySpace page." I'm like, MySpace. And I get it, and it gives me a chuckle. It's like, it makes me feel like, wow, that happened a long time.
Tony Stark should have known that MySpace was going to end soon.
Oh, right. But yeah, he'll put this on your MySpace. No, man, throw it up.
All right, 3 more questions. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you very much. Round of applause. Thanks, everybody.
And it's like, around, come, talk to us. Don't sit there and go, that's it right there, and then like run.
Yes.
Say hi, take pictures. We'd love to meet you. You're great folks.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for coming out. Everyone has any stuff to sign. Borrow 2 curtains and Sharpies from this guy.